Hey guys, welcome to another episode of my wow, let's have a look in my knife box and see what I can do series. Yeah, I'll call it that now. Anyway, I don't really know what I'm going to do for this one. I have had a quick sneaky look at it, what I've got inside it, and I have three finished projects that well, not finished, but three nearly finished projects that I've got this thing that I've called the blueprint from pretty much the start because I've never actually had a plan. I've got this thing. It's the throwing knife that I've kind of started, but not started, and yeah, it's just boring at this point. And I've got this that is my friend's knife, nicknamed LongClaw. Don't know why it's called that. It's kind of weird, actually, but anyway, not sure which of them to do today. Don't think I have anything else in here, actually. Nah, not really. I have this, but I don't really want to do it. It's an axe head. I'm not entirely sure what I am going to do with that, but anyway, let's have a think. Blueprint, I think I'll save for a full video opposed to just doing it as part of my series. Throwing knife, I kind of want to do that as its own video as well. I think I'm going to do LongClaw today, which is a really weird name, and I really hate my friend for choosing that, but anyway, yeah, I think I'll start by doing this. So the first thing I want to look at is what I've got to do to it. So I've got rough shaping done. Got a point almost done. Seems like I've started drilling a hole and then given up for some reason. And I've started to shape by skeleton cutting, which is basically where you hacksaw a little hole and it just makes it a little bit easier to take chunks off. So first thing I'm going to do is just do a little bit of filing to get rid of that. And yeah, that'll be pretty much the rough shaping done, I think. Let's have a look at the back quickly. Yeah, the back's pretty much square. I think I just cut it from a flat bit. Yeah, that's all I got to do. Okay guys, done all the rough shaping. Looks quite nice. Looks alright. It's a nice ergonomic shape, but your hand will fit quite nicely into. It's a little bit shorter than I would have personally made it, but this is my friend's design, so I'm not gonna question it. So I'm just making it. But I've had a little bit of an idea. I'm not going to use the grinder to bevel it this time because I was watching a little bit of a lot of knife tutorials on the YouTube. You know, that thing. And loads of people don't even use grinders. They just use a file. They set it at an angle and they just do that. They do that, but I've seen loads of really cool gadgets people have made with fisheye screws. You can put the file in there, the tang of the file in there, and then set it at an angle and then do it like that, and there's loads of different adjustments for it. Probably will make myself one of those because they look really cool. But yeah, I'm just going to put it in my vise sideways and try to get it the best I can. I'm going to chisel grind this one particularly. My friend hasn't asked for it to be chisel grind, but I'm going to chisel grind it because I know chisel grinds are much better than beat grinds. Just because you can get a nice consistent flat thing and you won't end up with any wobble like I did with these knives. I had a small wobble here because of a rift in the steel during the heat treat. It just went whoo and had a little bit of a warp. So that wasn't massively great. But with a chisel grind you don't really get that because it's actually part of the steel itself opposed to a thinner bit coming off the steel. It's basically just in the steel like a chisel. It's pretty handy and they're dead easy to sharpen. So I don't know, my friend likes easy stuff to sharpen because he's only got a diddy whetstone, so if you just deburr, done, and that's everyone's problem solved. So all you do, set at an angle. I've got quite a soft angle, you know. It's not like an axe where you're like that, you know. It's just a nice soft angle. And as you can see, I've already started to make a little bevel there. And all I'm going to do is spend the next 3 hours doing this and then get out myself a nice workable knife. Then heat treat, well, actually first I'll finish drilling that hole because that will annoy me for the rest of my days if I don't have a hole there. and just a little dent. So yeah, I'm going to drill a hole, bevel, and then a heat treat. God, I love heat treating. Anyway, yep, and well, I'll get on with it then, I guess, and stop moaning. Well, I'm pretty sure that's done now. And by God, is it beautiful. You get that really nice deep plunge look on it. I mean, I know the bevel doesn't look particularly massive. I mean, it's not halfway up the knife, but it is how I wanted it. It's nice and fat. And as soon as I start sharpening it, yep, razor sharp, done. And yeah, it's really nice. I like the fact that you can get a massive deep plunge on it, which you just can't do with a V-grind because you just don't have enough material unless you use like a 1/4 inch. But yeah, it's really nice looking knife so far. It's still don't know why it's called LongClaw. I'm debating whether I should put a little bit more of a point on it, because so far it looks a bit like a safety knife. You know, you can't actually stab anyone with it. So I'm still umming and ahhing about that, but other than that, it looks really nice. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to make my mind up in a minute. Well, until I do that, I'm just gonna rub it down a bit, give it a bit of a draw file with the old file, and then yeah, just get out all these knocks and bunches from me doing all that work on it. I've also flattened it out slightly because the blade did curve slightly, so I just got a hide hammer and smacked it a few times on the back of my vise and flattened it out, and it looks really nice now. So yeah, I'll see you in a minute when I've finished doing all my working, and it's boring. Please, I want to do something else. But oh well, this is, I guess it can go towards my other series, and yeah, those views. No, do what you want. Anyway, I'll see you in a minute where I can do all that nice filing business and stuff. Okay, so all the rough polishing's done at the moment. It looks quite good at the moment, I think, personally. It's the problem I've had before with the stainless steel is I rub off all the chromium coating, which just leaves the steel and the manganese, which makes it look really, really crappy, as well, instead of another word. But I've left a lot of the chromium coating on now, so it does still leave a lot of the dents in because those are all in the chromium coating, and I don't want to take off too much more, otherwise I'll get rid of it and remove this nice shine you get from it. But other than that, the only changes I've made are focus. I've taken off a little bit more on the tip. God, my recording equipment's crap at focusing. Anyway, I'll explain. All I've done is taken a bit more off the tip so that it thins it down a bit, so it's a little more of a point, and just enough so that it's still a lot of meat there that can protect the tip. So if, say, they were splitting wood with it like that, you know, you split wood and then you do that, the tip's not going to come off after I harden it a lot. And I've decided against drilling a hole, actually, because that would involve softening the metal, and I really don't want to do that. So yeah, I think I'm just going to cover that up with a paracord handle. No, not a paracord handle, a wooden handle. I'm going to do a wooden handle. I've promised myself a word. Got a stigma against it now. Yep, I've draw filed it so it's all nice and smooth, all going one direction, and yeah, so now I'm just gonna start making the handle, and yeah, I can actually show you guys making a wooden handle this time instead of showing you what it looks like after I've made a wooden handle. So this should be interesting. Okay, so I found myself some nice wood. I've just got some pine battening. Really massive fan of working with pine because I think it polishes up really nicely. Well, I say polish, I mean, yeah, you can do a lot of stuff to it. It's a very forgiving wood. It squashes a lot, so yeah, it's just very nice for people like me who really hate making stuff out of dead trees to work with. So the first thing I'm going to do, just take it, put it flat on the deck, put my knife around it. I know it's quite difficult for you to see, but you put it roughly like that. I'm not going to do it how some people do it, how they cut it, then sandwich it, then epoxy resin, then rasp around it. I'm just not a fan of doing that. I've tried it. It's how I did the carrot cutter, and it just didn't work for me. I just couldn't do it. So I'm gonna do it my way. So get a pencil, line it up, draw around it, I say draw around it like that. Right, see if that fits. Pretty good. Now that I've got that, all I'm going to do, saw it off about there. Repeat the process, saw it off again, rasp them, then put them together, then epoxy resin, and then it's done. Well, I say that it's done. I mean, I've got a ton of processes to do, but you guys probably don't want to see that quite now because it's pretty boring sanding. I mean, I've done it on this and it's pretty dull, so I'm just going to get most of this done off camera and show you what it looks like at the end. Right guys, so as you can see, I've got the rough shape of the handles done. They're about the same thickness. Well, I say so roughly. Can only hope. Yeah, see, they're roughly the same thickness, the entire, fairly consistent. They fit quite nicely in your hand at the moment, but gonna take it up to about 240 sandpaper, but I'm only gonna do that after I've got it on the handle, because it's just, you can put that in the vise and then have this. It's just easier for everyone. So to do the handles, I just use my rasp and a lot of time, as you can probably see. Only took me a few minutes to do actually, because the pine is so soft that you can just do it with that. It's incredible, really. Yeah, but it's quite a nice handle so far. So gonna go straight to the heat treat now. Then we're gonna polish the blade up. Probably maybe make a few nicks in this just so the epoxy will hold better. And that's what I'm gonna use the hole for, just to hold the epoxy better. Yeah, that will sit much better on that. Then I can sand it down and it'll all look nice. Then it can be my friend's new pet, I guess, or something like that. So, yeah, straight to heat treat then. Okay, I lied. We're not going straight to heat treat. We've got a few things done to it first. All I've done since the last time I showed you was I changed the bevel a bit so that it's a little bit longer, because I didn't like how it looked before. It looked way too small and rubbish and just generally boring. Then I took some beautiful, beautiful emery cloth. I love this stuff. It's much better than wet and dry in my opinion. Bit more expensive though. Sad. I just gave it a quick polish up. I've got rid of a lot of the lumps and bumps out of it. A lot of the stuff you can see right now is just dirt all over it because I've left it here for a while. And it's really shiny at the moment, which will stop stuff sticking to it when I put it in the forge. And yeah, other than that, I haven't really done a hell of a lot to it. Just, yeah, polished it. So now we're going to go to heat treat, because if I put it off any longer, I'm not going to get it done. So yeah, straight to heat treat. Okay guys, this is what it looks like after heat treat. Very scaly, and you know how it looks after a heat treat. Chisel grind's still alright, nothing's warped, everything's gone well for a change. And yeah, just going to clean it up with some emery cloth now, and yeah, show you how it looks, and then we can move on to actually fitting the handle and all that other good stuff that we like doing. So I'm going to do it all off camera again because, well, it's really boring. And, you know, emery clothing isn't the most fun thing in the world, but yeah, I'll show you how it looks after. I've done as much as I can with the emery cloth, just moving on to some 180 grit wet and dry paper. Just put a little bit of oil on it. Then you hold it, I guess with your dominant hand. I'm left-handed, so you hold the back, put it flat on the table, put your other hand on the top, and you just rub up and down. Try to use all of the wet and dry paper when you do this, so you get a nice even coating on the wet and dry paper, and you don't have patches which is good and patches which aren't. So just going to do this for about 3 years, maybe longer, just long enough for me to miss all my birthdays and all that. As you can see there, I've removed pretty much all of it except for that patch there, which I'll probably remove in a minute just by doing some other random stuff or buffing. Maybe I'll buff it out. Now I'm just going to move on to the other side, which actually has a really nice coat on it anyway, and I might not actually bother. I'm just going to tap it up for a minute, see what happens. And yeah, that did remove a lot of the scale that's there anyway, so yeah, I consider that a thorough success with the wet and dry paper. So I'm just going to move up through the grits for 200 and then 280 and then probably 400. I'll take it up to 400 grit everything should be nice and shiny, then I'll buff it. So yeah, then that'll be enough, and then we can actually do some handling and finally get this done, because this is taking ages. Okay, so I've finished all of the wet and dry papering and buffing and all, and just wrapped it in masking tape to protect it. You'll notice I haven't put too much effort into the tang because it's not going to be seen, so, you know, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, all that saying. So, no, I can't really be bothered to do anything with it. Yeah, so now that I'm done with that, let's get straight into doing the handle then. Well, I say doing, I mean gluing and sanding. It's not too much fun. Probably do most of it off camera, but I will show you some of it. So, yeah, let's move on to that. Okay, guys, we're ready for gluing now. I've masking taped up the handle, as you can see. I've removed a bit more of the grease, which I said I wasn't going to do, but I was doing some reading, and apparently this glue doesn't stick as well to grease as it does to just bare metal. So yeah, all I've done is just removed all the grease so that there's no real surface grease around. So we can just get some of this stuff, which is basically a wood bonding agent. It's a lot like epoxy resin mixed with honey. So I'm not a massive fan of it, but I've got it. So then all you do is just spread it up and down that. Try and cover as much as possible. Try not to get it too close to the edges as well, because a lot of this is going to ooze out. Then once you've covered about as much as you want, should be a reasonably thick covering on it, roughly equal, because if it's not equal it's going to look really rubbish. Yep, so don't get this and put this on the table like I've done in the past and then had to spend 20 minutes getting it off. That's not an ideal plan. Then what you do, you just get it and then apply it. Don't apply it too roughly at the moment, we're just gluing, so just be very gentle with it. Give it a bit of a squeeze just to make sure it is on there, and then once it's positioned, get a vise, any vise will do, lie it flat in the vise and just wind it up until... A good idea also to do is just to sandwich it with something. I'm just going to use an old broken glove that has about as many holes in it as, I don't know, a sponge. There you go. God, I need to work on my puns. Just gonna have another quick look before commit. Arrangement is one of the main parts in this. Then once you've squeezed, you will get a lot of surface stuff. So what you're going to want to do, take some roll, any old roll will do, and then just wipe it off. The stuff I'm using is a real ball ache to get off though. It's really tough and just really horrible to work with. So now that that's in there, I'm going to leave it there for, what's it say on here, about 3 hours. I'm going to leave it on there for 3 hours, and then I need to let it to cure before I do anything to it for another 4 hours, I think. So I'm going to leave it like that, and yeah, this next clip will be me doing something else after. So yep, see you then. Hey guys, back in the other workshop today because my linseed axe handle's still drying, so I'll have to make do, and I really want to get this project done, so we're just gonna get rid of some of this adhesive that's spilled out. Shouldn't be too hard, and this vise isn't particularly good. That noise is the file hitting the hard steel and it's not cutting in. So I'm just gonna change areas a bit. Go here instead. Right, so that's removed a lot of the adhesive. Now I've just got to do all the other sides, which has a lot more adhesive because I didn't clean any up. Right, that's most of the adhesive taken off all areas. Now we can work on to sanding and the final shaping of the handle, and then we are done. We can call it done. Well, that's pretty much it for the sanding portion on the 60 grit regarding shaping. The only other sanding I'll be doing now will be for nice smooth finishes and stuff. So, let's go straight on to doing that then, shall we? Done all the shaping necessary to the handles, so now we're just going to move on to some rough sanding. What we need first is some 100 grit, preferably. Right, found some 100 grit, so you're just going to give it the quick once over with this. 100 grit I find isn't really a proper sandpaper grit. I just tend to jump straight to 150, but I'm going to 100 here because I don't want to get any scratches in it. So I want it to be nice and smooth before I linseed oil it. If I had a belt sander, this would be nice, but I don't, so gonna do it all by hand. This basically just proves that you don't need to have all this complex stuff to make knives. You can just do it by hand. You don't even need a grinder like I have. You can just use a file like I've said before. It's really quite easy, to be honest, as long as you know what you're doing and you know the reasons behind everything. Right, that's my 100 pretty much done with. I'm just going to do the end quickly, which is always difficult and a ball ache, but you got to do it. Because you want it to look good for the customer and all, so more man hours you put in, better it always looks at the end. I don't personally price my knives on how many man hours I I put it into it, I price it on how it looks at the end. Some knife makers price it on how many man hours they put into it, but if you did as many as most people, then it'd just be way too expensive. So you have to find that balance between a good looking knife and not spending 3 years trying to make it, which is really quite important when it comes to this. I found a comment on one of my other videos mentioning about my metalwork techniques, which is one of them, the main one being tempering. I didn't show you the tempering. I did do it, but I didn't show you it. I didn't think it was worth mentioning. Tempering is the softening of the spine of the metal, or just any of the metal, for the reason of making it slightly more resistant to shock, because knives are put under a lot of different forces from different locations. Like, say with a knife you batten with, which is where you beat it with a stick into another one, it's more like an axe. So it needs to be hard enough that it holds an edge, but the spine needs to be soft enough to absorb enough shock so that the knife doesn't just shatter. And this comment mentioned about tempering. I do the tempering. I will show you the tempering now that he's mentioned it, but it just seemed not important enough to show last time, so now that he's mentioned it, I will show you. But 240, right, I've done my 150, moving up to my 240 now, my final grit. As you can tell, it's already taken me 4 minutes to do all the sanding. So you can imagine doing knife making every single day for a living. It's going to be 90% of your life sanding, and you're probably going to spend more on sanding equipment than any other kind of steel or anything, or equipment. Right, I am done now with that. As you can see, it's a nice looking handle. Except for that bit there, I might just get that with the Dremel. It's a nice pine handle, very forgiving wood, that's why I use it, because I hate working with dead trees. But yeah, it's really nice looking at the moment, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to linseed oil it, chuck it in my vise, leave it, not my problem anymore, and then yeah, I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, because I'm not going to show you the linseed oiling. This is the knife after everything's been done to it. I hope the customer likes it, and yeah, hopefully it should be a nice knife and actually work. Haven't actually sharpened it, gonna let him do that so that he can decide how sharp he wants it. But other than that, that's it from me. See you in the next video.